Hi, welcome back. I'm here to do a layout for us, and I'm thinking about doing just kind of a general collective reading, and whatever comes out comes out. It might seem a little bit lazy, but that's kind of just what I've been drawn to lately, is letting go of setting an intention and seeing what comes out, and hoping, and trusting that it's going to get to the person it needs to get to. So that's what I'd like to do again today, and I'm going to use it to track this layout for this layout today. So I'm sending you all lots of love and positive intention for you. What's important for us to know at this time? What are we working on? What's happening in the unseen? What are maybe some of our unconscious desires around current circumstances that will help us to have brought to light, for example, right? Messages from our shadow about current circumstances, etc. Where things are heading. Okay. So the cornerstone of energy for you is the Six of Cups. And so this speaks to, I think, based on what I'm looking at here, a past love, but it could also be you and your childhood memories and inner child, right? There's definitely a healing process happening around the Six of Cups energy. Because where the energy is headed is a time of healing. So something about the Six of Cups has a healing component for you in your life. And one thing I'm going to do right now is just try to see, before I go any further, who's the Six of Cups here? I think it's you and your own healing. But I want to see if it has to do with your child, your inner child, or if it's more about a fated relationship, like a soulmate. The foundational, I just want one or two clarifiers here because I'm not quite sure on it. Yeah. So this is around your healing around your inner masculine. It could be healing issues around fatherhood for you, like if you have some unresolved wounds or pain around your relationship with your dad. It's also around power and control. So to me, this is speaking about you and your past and your childhood and your inner child. You are the emperor here and the king of wands. So you're a king of wands examining your relationship to the emperor, which in this case could be your dad, right? In any case, there's a Four of Pentacles energy, which can reference rigidity and power and control for the sake of power and control. It's not the greatest card to have show up with an emperor, but it can also be positive, like the emperor's form of protection. If the emperor references like the head of the family, for example, you want a protective, controlled, sovereign person who's stable, providing that in your household when you're growing up, right? And in any case, I think that there's some conflict that you're working on healing around your inner masculine and around your dad, possibly, or you, just a version of yourself that you're trying to rise to or to obtain for your own development. And what you're feeling and thinking around these situations is, again, you're really trying to approach this healing with a clear mind, and with a stable, decisive mindset. It's the King of Swords here and the Eight of Pentacles. So you're willing to do the work, and you're trying to do the work around this situation and healing the Six of Cups, healing from your past, healing around masculine versions of masculinity that might have caused some wounding. For example, this is a very obvious kind of generic example, but it's one that happens over and over, where men or masculine people are not taught to feel comfortable with their emotions other than anger or assertiveness, right? And men who don't necessarily fall into this sort of stereotypical masculine framework in Western culture. In many cultures, it's not even just Western culture, but they can find themselves feeling on the outside of what's allowed, right? So I think that's happening here. And you're recognizing that you need healing from some childhood elements, and you're working on it. There's a place of stillness that you're in right now. And to me, this Hanged Man represents a healthy stillness for you as you try to heal some of this. This is a stable framework that you're trying to approach your life from. You're really trying to work with this time of Hanged Man, non-movement. This can be a spiritual endeavor, Hanged Man energy, where you go through like a rite of passage spiritually in order to attain wisdom. And so that's what I see happening for you here in the foundation, is working on inner healing and versions of masculinity and femininity that may have been passed down to you. Your vulnerability is the Nine of Cups. So doing this kind of work might make you feel vulnerable to indulgence in order to escape from the intensity of the work, which is super common, right? And our culture has a weird now relationship with forms of escape, where in the past, before laws and Western society kind of developed this punitive relationship around altered states of consciousness, like this is a vulnerability for you right now, and that you might be wanting to escape into altered states in order to avoid this healing work that you're having to do around your childhood. So it's just something to watch for. But who defines that for you is a little bit tricky in Western culture, because you might go to an AA meeting, for example, and be told that your use of cannabis or psilocybin is addict behavior, whereas you might have a more spiritual relationship with those types of medicinal plants, right? So there's a lot of that kind of thinking, is, at least in this culture that I'm speaking from and want to acknowledge that I am of, there's a confused relationship sometimes with this type of altered state. And it's a vulnerability for you right now. So you might want to watch out. Like, is me smoking this bowl medicinal, or is it escapism, right? It can go either way, depending. So it's something to be conscious of for you. The center of this reading is the High Priestess. And so it's really about connecting to your intuition. You may be trying to approach things from this King of Swords, logical, decisive, air element energy. And at the center of things is the High Priestess, who has the wisdom to know that all elements are required in a harmonious existence in the earth plane, right? All of the elements, air, water, earth, fire, ideally are represented in healthy balance, but we get out of alignment with those types of energies within ourselves and in our outer lives all the time. And to me, this High Priestess card is showing up here to remind you, this kind of healing you can't just approach with your logical mind. You need to go within and be willing to examine what's happening in your heart, for example, or in the water element within you. A High Priestess knows this, so you're just being encouraged to trust your intuition as well as your air element. You can trust your mind, and it's important to have a balanced mindset and mind state when you're approaching healing. You don't want your mind to rule you. The goal oftentimes is to learn how to manage your thoughts and your mind. Monkey mind is sometimes called, right? Your strength is the world. So you're really embracing a new world for yourself and a new way of approaching your life and approaching relationship paradigms and approaching healing and happiness and all of that. The way that you show up in this world, in the earth plane, is your strength. It's all up for review right now, and you're embracing a new way of living. This is your strength. And you're embracing your healing. This is also your strength. You've just got to watch out for when you need a break from your healing work, that you're not indulging too much. It's a fine line. It's a fine line with vices, or with things that have the potential to become a vice, for example, like gaming or games like gambling. Gaming has been a part of human culture forever. Competitive games, games of wits, battle games, right? Like all kinds of games. And that can become, in a darker element of that, it could, like gambling addiction, right? So it's just, you guys got to watch out for the sting in any kind of seeking around escape, right? The devil on your shoulder, or your shadow element, and what your shadow is wanting to convey to you is surrender. In a dark aspect of shadow, this could be whispering in your ear to give up, that nothing's worth fighting for, just give up. Go ahead and get wasted. Go ahead and give up on this relationship. It's not worth the effort. Where these are like shadow side thoughts. So it can be, in a healthy aspect of shadow, a reminder that you need to surrender your need to control everything. In a darker aspect, it can be defeatist thinking and quitting before you've reached the finish line kind of thing. And I think that's what's happening here, because your angel side, or your conscious mind, knows that you're coming to a threshold of crossing into this new world. The devil on your shoulder is telling you to give up, turn around, it's not worth it, it's too hard, this world is too unknown, there's too much sacrifice, just turn back, right? That's what this devil on your shoulder is saying. The angel is saying, don't quit, you're at the threshold here. Were you going to transcend into emperor energy from a king by being willing to do this healing work? And boom, that's what this is saying, because the energy that you're headed towards is temperance. So this is really beautiful healing for your masculine self, and possibly around a masculine in your life that you are seeking healing around the relationship. Like I said in the beginning, it could be a father, or it could be your own relationship to masculinity. Maybe it's you and not wanting to carry patterns forward with your sons, for example. Masculine energy and legacy and ancestry is being represented here. And healing, temperance healing, is major inner alchemical healing. It's not just taking a nap. It's like major commitment to healing your psyche, healing your soul, healing your pain body, healing your emotion body, right? Like really trying to be in energetic alignment of spiritual ascension. So this is very beautiful and feels very complete on its own. I might just pull here like a what can I pull? What feels right to pull? Maybe a plant. Plants are allies on our healing journey. They're spirits as well as their chemical makeup and compounds for our physical bodies. So maybe that's going to be a good one here, because this is definitely a message about healing, and healing on multiple levels. So what can be a good plant companion for this healing? And when I read these cards, I've noticed a couple times in readings when I go back and watch that I neglect to say like how to bring the plant into your life if the cards are showing up a plant that would help you. And there's a lot of ways. Like you can go here in the Western world, you can go to GNC and pick up like a powder form of the herb that comes up here, because oftentimes these herbs represented in this deck are herbs that you can go and find to take medicinally, right? You can also learn about, if you really are connected to the land, you can learn about where these herbs grow in nature and how you can ethically go out and harvest some. Not take without giving back, nothing like that. We're talking about ethically harvesting. Like I ethically harvest nettles where I live. I don't pull entire stalks of nettles out of the ground by the root, right? You clip the tops so that they can come back every year. That's just one example. So when I pull these cards, a good starting point, if it's a plant you're not familiar with, is just do some research. Google it, look up in your plant identifying books or however you identify plants. What is this plant and where can I find it? You can also sit in meditation and send out like a message or a call to this plant. Like, I'm inviting you into my life to help me heal and see how it shows up for you. So what's a good plant? What's a good plant that can help you on this? Resolving inner masculine issues of power and control, issues of rationality. That's a very, in terms of Greek philosophy, the Greeks really held supreme masculine reason. That for them was the pinnacle of a wise way of living. Stoicism, right? Like, I'm not saying that those philosophies don't have application for feminine, because here's the high priestess right here. They do. But it can be really overemphasized in Western culture that the only way to approach life or challenges is with reason. And this high priestess is showing up here to say, no, you need to engage your heart too. Reason without a heart engagement or without other elements of denies a bulk of who we are. We are emotional creatures. We need to engage our emotions. Our emotions teach us about what's happening around us, right? Sorry, I keep going on a soapbox about this. It's something I've thought a lot about in my own life. My dad was a chemist, and his whole jam was reason and approaching, how can you do better? How can you, and that's all very valuable, but it also really neglected a big part of his own humanity and mine too, right? That tears are okay, or that emotions are okay. So tell us about a plant that can help. Black walnut. I don't know a lot about working with black walnut. One of my folk magic teacher actually made ink out of walnut and uses it in folk magic. That's my only experience with using black walnut. I'll be curious what the book says here. I'm going to do another one too. And I always have a hard time saying this plant's name, astragalus. So let's see how these plants can help you. Because they're plants that I personally haven't worked with a lot. So I rely on the book for this, for the spiritual support they can provide you. Black walnut, ladder to the stars. The crones, the elders, the wise ones turn to black walnut for situations that require the most delicate and discerning advice. Black walnut is a canopy tree growing straight and tall towards the light, with wood that is dense and beautiful, and has long been an ally to humans, providing food, medicine, building materials, and dye, that ink, right? But while black walnut is generous and dignified, they are also the discerner and the expeller. Black walnut is allelopathic, meaning they produce a chemical that can make it difficult for many plants to grow around them. Black walnut is an example of choosing what you surround yourself with and removing or cutting ties with what does not serve you. Black walnut asks for your conviction and your sense of truth that is uniquely and only yours. Black walnut asks you for courage to look around and decide. Make the hard choice to drastically change if you must, to unravel your ideas, that rigidity and masculine rigidity, right? That can sometimes be passed down through patriarchal notions. Make the hard choice to drastically change if you must, to unravel your ideas of what you thought would or should happen. If you are feeling tied to the expectation of others, if you fear disappointing or impacting those around you at the cost of your own well-being, black walnut will not forsake you. Black walnut says doubt does nothing for you. Believe in what you already know to be true. So black walnut, if you really wanted to get serious about working with it, you might do something like do a search on Etsy for a black walnut charm or black walnut ink that you can use to write out your intentions, something that works with the spirit of black walnut to help establish your new perimeter as you're trying to heal some old stuff within you and come to this new understanding with this Emperor and this Four of Pentacles. Black walnut will not forsake you. Black walnut says doubt does nothing for you. Believe in what you already know to be true. Perhaps you are tied to a story that began a long time ago, the Six of Cups, from before. Perhaps your guides are anger, resentment, jealousy, or confusion. If this is the case, it's time for you to get to know black walnut. It's time for you to cultivate a willingness for everything to be different. Amazing. How beautiful. I am in love with that, in love with it. It's absolutely gorgeous. And here's another star being plant here. So this black walnut was saying a ladder to the stars. And now here it looks like on this astragalus plant, stars are represented. So I'll be curious what they say. The Whisperer. Sweet, warm, soft astragalus. Astragalus is the great diplomat, speaking between one side and another. Astragalus is also the carrier of the secrets of loss and mourning. Astragalus is the grief befriender, the veil between the physical and non-physical, the inner and the outer, the endogenous and exogenous. Astragalus speaks to our lungs. This means many things. Our breath is our life. The way we are able to breathe determines how well everything else in our bodies can work. It determines our pace of life, our outlook. It determines how our heart speaks to our organs, our veins, our brain. The lungs are one of the primary and few interfaces we have of the insides of our bodies meeting the outside world. We share resources, nutrients, oxygen, but we are also always determining what is safe and what is not. Astragalus smooths the borders, heals where there are inflammatory thoughts and actions, and comforts when the house of grief is too large, which is so beautiful because black walnut pointed to a little bit of wounded anger and bereavement. And if you're trying to heal your masculine energy, masculines don't often have a comfortable expression of grief because it's never been allowed. That's the ways, this is straight from bell hooks. This is not me. I learned all of this through doing my own work to heal. This is where patriarchy harms men, is not allowing men their full expression of and their full range of emotions the way that women have often had the luxury to do. Cry, bond with friends over shared pain. Men are not as feel welcoming in that way in our culture. And it's come out twice now that this can help you connect to those emotions in a deeper way that's more authentic and less about patriarchy, right? That's, in my opinion, about how this layout is coming together with these plants. Astragalus knows a great deal about balance. They know when parts of ourselves are working too hard, in a state of deficiency, or out of tandem. Astragalus can speak to these parts and say, come together, and you will each carry a more even load. Astragalus knows when to soothe hyperactivity or bolster sluggishness, which can help with some of this impulse maybe towards escapism. In each action they are full of grace, so graceful. Astragalus is the intelligence of the organism, the web of ecological elegance, the whisper of where you stand in the midst of all things. It sounds like it can really help you regain the right relationship with power and control and protection around masculine energy, right? It's so beautiful. I love it because we don't want to discourage those powerful, stable, grounding forces that masculine energies bring into our world in healthy balance, right? It's really beautiful. Now those plants make me want to keep reading on this reading. So maybe I'll just I don't want to push it though, because it's a beautiful message. Is there anything else to know about this healing journey that you're on? Healing your masculine? You're on the threshold of stepping into a more healed version of yourself and an alchemization of your understanding of the inner masculine that you inherited in childhood. And that has to do with boundaries. How your sense of need to protect yourself and others around you may have gotten out of balance in some way, and you need to reestablish boundaries that feel more realistic or practical to you. It'd be interesting to hear, if this is you, how it plays out in your life. I would love to know. What are some parting words here? You hold the power Don't forget to wield your power with ethics and from your heart. That comes right to this Four of Pentacles Emperor energy again. This is saying you are incredibly empowered by doing this work. So as you continue to heal and grow in your personal power, you are being reminded to hang on to your ethics, which is this feminine energy. Don't lose sight of the feminine pole within you that is to help you keep grounded in your heart, right? Accept, embrace, and love your heartbreak, love your pain. So you may be in a setting at times where it feels unsafe or difficult, or like you're being a pussy or whatever it is, you know, like where if you're in masculine energy, allowing yourself to grieve can be a very difficult vulnerability to show anyone or to express. And I just had the image of a feline or a cat. Like, cats are not often running to you for reassurance when they don't feel good. They're solitary creatures at times, and they want to go off by themselves when they don't feel good. And that's okay, but there's just a caution in that as well, that you don't completely seal yourself off from everything because you're in a conflicted relationship with your sorrow. If you can accept it, embrace it, and integrate it, it helps you have these healthy boundaries, right? Healthy protection. Impregnation, abundance, and fertility. So doing this work that you're doing is taking you towards that healed, temperance, abundant place where your masculine is healed now, and ability to generate all this fertility from within you, because you have these poles in balance. It's really beautiful. So thank you for letting me read that reading for you, whoever you are out there. It's really an honor to get to see into your healing journey, and I relate to it as well, you know, because I haven't always had a very clear understanding. I have a unique experience of being raised by men. And so I didn't have a lot of female examples in my life growing up on a regular basis. And so I had some confusion around, because I'm very feminine, but I didn't know how to really be a woman. My mom wasn't around to teach me, and my dad taught me some weird messages about, you know, I remember one time my dad, I don't even know how it came up, but I said something like, what did you love about my mom? My dad was he was a loving person, but he had a lot of, just like a lot of men, they inherited weird ideas. And so I said something like, what did you love about my mom? I was probably like 8 or 9. And he was like, well, he was driving, and he says something about, there's a saying out there that says there are 2 kinds of men, a leg man and a breast man. And he's talking about how he first noticed my mom's legs because he's a leg man. And I'm like 9 years old, right? Taking in these messages about, okay, that's what's important about what someone will notice about me if I'm looking for, just funny things like that. And I'm not trying to trash talk my dad. I love my dad. He's no longer with us. But I got some weird ideas from him, just like it looks like maybe you got some weird ideas too about masculine and feminine expression of self, right? So I hope that's helpful. Take good care and enjoy. And I think that's it.